Hi guys, it's Kelly and welcome to my channel. I am so excited today to share with you a review of the 7 Virtues Discovery Set that I purchased at Sephora about a week and a half ago. It was my very first time smelling any of the 7 Virtues fragrances, and I am just really excited to share this with you. Before we get into today's video, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. Give this video a like, comment down below, say hey, let me know what you think about these 7 Virtues fragrances, and let's dive right into it. I feel like this video is gonna create quite some bloopers because I feel so sleep deprived, you guys. Like little just like side tangent about my life. My business, which is completely separate from anything fragrance related, it's like my online business that I've been working for years. It's like blowing up in the best way possible, but with explosive growth also comes a ton of hard work. And yeah, I've just been like gunning it for the past week straight and I'm really tired. So I'm probably gonna mess up on my words today and say weird shit, but that's fine, you guys don't care. Okay, so this was the first time, I just wanna tell you this too. This was the first time that I've sat down with a discovery set and that I've like very intentionally gone through each fragrance without looking at the notes first. Now, obviously, if you know 7 Virtues, you know like the notes are like pretty obvious because that's the name of the perfumes, you know? But I sat down, I opened up my journal. I literally took like, I would say maybe 10-15 minutes with each fragrance, just really smelling it, like really diving into it, writing down what I thought it smelled like, what it reminded me of, like all my notes. And then I pulled the notes list up on Fragrantica and like cross compared, and it was just such a fun thing. And I know this is like what most people do, but I honestly haven't really like taken that much time with a house before, and it was like really fun. Ian, my partner, has been in Maine. He's back now, but he was in Maine for like a week when I did that, and it was just so fun. It was like a Friday night. I was by myself. I'm just sitting at my kitchen table, drinking wine, sniffing the Discovery Set, and it was really fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is the Discovery Set that I bought at Sephora. I believe it was either $25 or $30, and then it has like the samples listed on the back, and you open it up here, and then the perfumes actually slide out like so. So here's the kit. So we're gonna start from left to right. We're gonna start with, okay, let's start off with our very first one, which is Vanilla Woods. So my experience of Vanilla Woods right from the front was that it's this rich, sexy, boozy vanilla. The vanilla in it sort of reminded me of Delina. Like I got like a Delina vibe right off the top, which if you've been watching my videos, you know that that was a major win for me. I also thought when I first sniffed it without knowing the notes, I thought that I was getting this like, I couldn't tell if it was like cacao or tonka bean or benzoin, but there was something about it that was like kind of like syrupy, warm, gourmand, just this beautiful, edible, delicious sexiness. Like this fragrance is just warm and boozy and freaking delicious. So the notes in Vanilla Woods, we've got top note of pear, which I could barely pick up the pear scent. Mid notes of rose, which I think is why I was getting that Delina vibe, because the rose and the vanilla together. And then base notes of vanilla, caramel, and amber. So it was the caramel that I was smelling before. But you guys, this is a 9 out of 10. Like I will probably get a full bottle of this. It is absolutely delicious. Really well done vanilla scent in, you know, a plethora of vanilla scents that are all over the market. I'm a little bit picky about vanillas. This one is delicious. This is gonna be perfect like in the fall when like it's just starting to kind of get cool. I think you could wear this year round, honestly, but in the fall when like the leaves are starting to get crunchy and you're starting to wear your like big cozy sweaters, like to me this fragrance screams fall. Okay, moving on to the second fragrance, we have SANTAL Vanille. So immediately when I sprayed this, it smelled like an elevated Le Labo 33 with like a little bit of spice in it. So I'm not a huge SANTAL 33 fan. I feel like I'm the only one. Yeah, I don't know. It's when sandalwood is done a certain way, I'm not super into it. And then some sandalwoods, I'm super into it. So I had very low expectations when I tried this fragrance. So initially, like I said, like when I first sprayed it, I was like, oh, it smells like Santal 33. Like it's exactly what it smells like. But as it started to develop, I started to get this like kind of green sort of floral note. Like I couldn't figure out if it was like peony or if there was like some other floral in there. And I started to also pick up on this spiciness, like this cardamom kind of smell. So after it was on skin for a few minutes, it really started to kind of develop and turn into a little bit more unique of a fragrance. So initially I was gonna give this like a 5 out of 10 rating because I'm just like, this is boring. I've smelled this a million times. Like it just smells like Le Labo Santal 33. And then once I really let it develop on my skin, I actually decided that I was gonna give it a 6.5, which I feel like isn't a super high rating. But again, it's just that, it's that sandalwood note that's done in a certain way. Like if you like Le Labo 33, you will probably love this, especially if you're kind of like bored with Santal 33 and you want just like a little bit of edge thrown into it. But wait till you hear the notes. These notes are delicious. Okay, so in Santal Vanille, we've got top notes of cardamom, myrrh oil, and Indian pepper, and coconut milk. Mid notes of vanilla, olibanum, and cedar, and base notes of Madagascar sandalwood, cashmere, and cacao. Once I read those notes, I actually sprayed it on me again with those notes in mind, and it was like this whole new experience. So I would highly recommend get your nose on this if you're a sandalwood fan. I think this fragrance is absolutely delicious if you love sandalwood that's done in that way. If you don't, I would maybe play with it because you might change your mind, but this might not be the best fragrance for you. Okay, moving on to number 3, we have Blackberry Lily. So immediately when I sprayed this, I was brought back to the year 2014. That was the summer that we moved from Santa Cruz, California to Austin, Texas, and it was like our first, maybe second day here, and we went to Target, and I bought all these like Sonia Kashuk hand creams, and there was one, I think it was called, I feel like it was called Purple Seduction, perhaps. This smells exactly like that, like exactly. Now I don't know if you can get the Sonia Kashuk Purple Seduction hand cream anymore, but if you can't and you were obsessed with it, this would be a great replacement for that. So initially when I first sprayed it, I was getting like right off the top tons of blackberry, tons of patchouli, tons of rose. It's like a very dark floral heavy hitter, like kind of jammy. I felt like maybe there was some lily, some jasmine. I was also getting a little bit of this like smoky incense thing going on. Like when you first spray it, it's very much like this dark patchouli rose thing, and then it starts to kind of mellow out and turn a little bit more floral, almost like white floral, as the wearing experience goes on. So in the end, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 because the dry down became a little too floral for me, and it actually reminded me of one of my friends growing up when I was friends with her when I was like 7. It started to smell like her mom, and I can't remember what, I feel like she used to wear some like Clinique, this was back in the 80s, so it wasn't like, I don't even think Clinique Happy was out yet. But yeah, it just totally smelled like her, and I think that was like a huge turn off for me because it just brought back memories of like being 7. So for me, like, yeah, this is nice, but I personally don't think I will be buying a full-size bottle. Notes in this one are blackberry, blackcurrant, and lily up top, so it's right about the lily. Mid notes of lily of the valley, Divana rose, and magnolia, and base notes of caramel, Haitian vetiver, cedar, amber, Egyptian pelargonium, something I can't read, and patchouli. So yeah, I mean, this is nice. I feel like a lot of people are actually really gonna love this. For me, like I said, if the dry down didn't turn so floral, I'd be super into it actually, because I loved that Sonia Kashuk hand cream, but I'm probably not gonna buy a full bottle of it right at this time. Okay, moving on to number 4, we've got Jasmine Neroli. Okay, right off the top, this was like a super heady jasmine bomb. I was sort of getting like a tuberose, almost like a suntan, like coconut lotion kind of vibe. Also getting kind of like this Freesia Neroli thing happening. Like immediately it gave off mom vibes. So basically right off the top, like it's just a jasmine bomb, and then it dries down to this very nice sort of honeysuckle thing. So in Jasmine Neroli, we have top notes of neroli, we've got mid notes of jasmine and honeysuckle, and base notes of amber and labdanum. So I give this a 4 out of 10. I think that this is really well done. I think all of these fragrances are really well done. However, this just isn't my personal style. I'm not a huge jasmine person. I'm huge on neroli. I love neroli, but to me, I didn't get a whole lot of neroli from this. It was mostly jasmine and honeysuckle. So yeah, that's my experience. I think if you're a fan of jasmine, if you're a fan of honeysuckle, definitely get your hands on this because it is a very well done fragrance. Moving on to number 5, we have Patchouli Citrus. Now, this one to me smelled really just freaking chaotic and really like messy at the top, if that makes any sense. It was like this really intense clash between the citrus and the patchouli. So I was getting orange blossom, I was getting pear, I was definitely getting the patchouli, but it was kind of like underneath this sort of aldehydic grapefruit thing. Like it just felt, the whole thing felt very, very, very busy. And even the dry down, like it's a little too cloying and a little too heady for me. I feel like this is probably the most challenging of all 7. I'm like a huge patchouli fan and I'm a huge citrus fan, and it just felt really challenging to me. So Patchouli Citrus has top notes of bergamot, mandarin, peach, cassis, and black pepper, mid notes of rose geranium, peony, and jasmine, and base notes of moss, patchouli, cedar, amber, and sandalwood. So you can see like it's definitely the busiest, one of the busiest fragrances notes-wise out of all 7. And yeah, I don't know. Proceed with caution on this one. What do you guys think? Have you guys tried this? Let me know in the comments. It's yeah, definitely my least favorite out of the set. Okay, my camera just died, so we're back. All right, so moving on to number 6, second to last, we've got Rose Amber. Now this one, right from the top, smelled like a sweet, sticky rose with like overripe rose petals, which I just recently really started to get into that fragrance. It has this like syrupy amber, kind of like vanilla tonka bean vibe. It very much reminds me of Montali fragrances, or is it Mancera? I literally get them so confused every single time. I know that they're like sister houses. I can't tell them apart. Anyways, if you like, I think it's Roses Vanille, or what's that other one I've smelled from one of their houses? Anyway, it has this very like intense royal smelling kind of rose thing going on. If you know what I'm talking about, if you know which one I'm talking about, this is gonna suit your fancy. So I give this an 8 out of 10. It was like, I'll tell you my favorites in the end, but this really grabbed my attention. We've got top notes of pink pepper, Davana, cassis, neroli, and bergamot. Mid notes of rose, cinnamon, lavender, orris, and jasmine. And base notes of amber, vanilla, patchouli, sandalwood, and vetiver. So again, like this is a little bit of a busy fragrance. However, it smells delicious. Yeah, just it smells sexy, it smells sweet, it smells feminine, it smells bougie. Like there's something that smells like rich about it. And yeah, it smells very romantic. It definitely brings up, I just literally feel like I have my nose just inhaling a bunch of like overly ripe petals. Is that the right word? When they're like about to start getting crispy, you know, it's like that smell. So yeah, if you're a roses fan, if you're an amber fan, I highly recommend getting your nose on this. Okay, and last but not least, we've got Lotus Pear. So this up top just smells like a juicy pear. It's got lots of apple. I could smell something like raspberry or strawberry, but primarily just this very juicy pear kind of apple vibe. It kind of gets a little bit shampoo-y, which isn't my favorite thing. I know a lot of people kind of like that in fragrances. And then it dries down into this floral, kind of somewhat familiar scent. Like there's something very familiar about this. And as I was smelling it, I was like, does this smell like some Victoria's Secret fragrances perhaps? Or maybe like, what was the pear? There was a Victoria's Secret pear scent. I think it had pear in the name, in like the late 90s, I believe. And I think that's what this is reminding me of. So yeah, I gave it a 6 out of 10 because of the shampoo-y vibe. Again, if you like that kind of style, you're probably gonna love this. I'm not a huge apple fan of my fragrances. It's actually probably my least favorite note besides cinnamon. I'm also not like a huge pear fan. I feel like it's done really well in certain fragrances, but it's not my go-to. So I kind of knew going into this that this wasn't gonna be my favorite. Lotus Pear has top notes of pear and peach, mid notes of lotus, gardenia, orange blossom, jasmine, and rose, and base notes of geranium. And so, yeah, I don't know. As it was drying down too, though, I did take note. So it started to smell, I think it was about 2 hours into the wearing experience, I started to smell something really familiar that wasn't a Bath & Body Works or Victoria's Secret scent. And I actually wrote down this note, and it actually sent me down this rabbit hole on the internet because I realized that it kind of, sort of, in the dry down, reminds me of a fragrance called Lilu from Pac Sun, circa like, I don't know, the year, I think I wore it the summer of 2003. Yeah, so it was probably out from like 2002 to 2004. It was a cheapy little bottle, got it at Pacific Sunwear, and it smelled amazing. And so I realized that this kind of smelled like that, and so I started doing all this internet research, seeing if I could find a bottle of that again, because it was just such a beautiful scent. And I realized that there were like so many people who also really loved that scent, and I ended up discovering for the first time a website called Fragrance Revival, which makes all these fragrances that are discontinued. They're like clones or dupes, whatever you want to call it. And I found Lilu on there, and I also found the Times Unlimited Fig Leaf and Cassis fragrance, which was another fragrance I wore in 2003. 2003 was the best summer of my entire life. And I won't go into detail, but I literally just had, it was like when I'm on my deathbed, the summer of 2003, plus like summer camp when I was a kid and maybe like summers in Vermont with my family, I feel like those times are gonna be what I'm replaying, like with a huge smile on my face. And so anything that reminds me of that summer scent-wise is gonna be a huge win. So yeah, I'm excited to potentially order some things from Fragrance Revival as well and check that out. Let me know in the comments, have you ever ordered anything from Fragrance Revival? Do you find that the quality is good? I would love to like hear some people's experiences before I order. So going back to the Discovery set. So I would definitely say that Vanilla Woods and Rose Amber turned out to be my favorites. And then Santal Vanille, it's funny, like even though I don't love the Santal 33 DNA, I like found myself just wanting to go back to it over and over and over again. So that's a sample that I'm really excited to play with because I feel like I may actually end up getting a full bottle after I've played with it enough. I may not. Ones that I'm like happy to pass up were the Lotus Pear, the Jasmine Neroli, and the Patchouli Citrus. And then the Blackberry Lily, I'm like kind of on the fence about too. I would probably do like a 10 ml bottle of that if that was available. Because it was nice. I just don't know for me if it's like full bottle worthy. So that's my review of the 7 Virtues Discovery set. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Let me know in the comments, like, have you tried any of these? What are your favorites? I know that Vanilla Woods has like a cult following, and I know Santal Vanille does as well. So let me know in the comments what you think about these fragrances. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, hit the alarm bell so you receive notifications of future videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!